All right, folks, welcome to the Pieczynski and Kerns Sports Show, the October 20th edition. We have quite a bit to talk about here today.
Yeah, so starting off, we're going to cover some of the postseason games. Which game you want to talk about first?
Well, let's look ahead to today's matchup. Well, we'll talk a little bit actually about last night's game, but Kansas City and Toronto, this has been a series prior to last night. It has been all Kansas City. But the Blue Jays did a good job last night getting on top of Johnny Cueto early and pull out the 11-8 victory. Donaldson had a home run. Troy Tulowitzki hit a 3-run bomb. And finally, the bats get going for the Blue Jays. As for Johnny Cueto, he only pitched 2 innings, allowing 8 earned runs. That's his worst postseason start in his career, and which has been nothing stellar as a postseason pitcher, Johnny Cueto, that is. Marcus Stroman gets the win. He's pitched well. I like what he brings to the Blue Jays. Young, energetic pitcher. He's only 5'8", 5'9", I believe, but he throws pretty hard. He has a good curveball as well.
Yeah, and I believe Stroman threw in the final game of the NLDS. Am I correct there?
Yeah, he pitched Game 5 as well against the Rangers.
He pitched very well after giving the Rangers a pretty early lead. And the Blue Jays held on, came back. But there's a little bit of a theme I'm kind of seeing in this postseason.
What's that?
So, the Royals games at home. The Royals are a team that likes to play small ball. And if you look at Kaufman has one of the... I don't know how to put this. It has a very big outfield area. The dimensions of the field. It is not a hitter's park in any sorts. So you'd expect a team like Toronto to struggle there. You'd expect them to struggle mightily when you look at it, because that's a team that bases their offense on power. They're a very power-oriented team.
Exactly. Pretty much 1 through 9, with the exception of maybe Ben Revere and Kevin Pillar. Yeah, I would agree, definitely.
Yeah, but when you look at guys like Edwin Encarnacion, and then you have Jose Batista, that's your heart of your lineup, and you're putting them in Kansas City in a ballpark that is not known for being a hitter's park.
Yeah, and they struggled. Their first 2 games they lost, but they did a good job getting back on top. The Blue Jays won a lot of these 10-7, 11-8 games during the regular season. That's why I questioned them into the postseason, because you need pitching to win. David Price did struggle his first outing, but he's slowly building back up confidence. He pitched Game 2, I think, and he pitched well early, but then struggled. I think he had like a 3 or 4 run inning, and that really didn't do much for him. They play tonight. I believe it is Dickey and Young for the Royals. That should be a good matchup. I would think it would be high scoring again, somewhere like maybe 7-5, 8-6, something like that. I don't think 11-8, but definitely high scoring.
Yeah, I see it being high scoring. You saw that jump in Blue Jays offense immediately once they went back to Toronto, to the Rogers Center Dome. And like I said, that offense thrives in that dome. That is a hitter's park, and expect a lot of runs these next 2 games there.
Yeah, as for Price, really quick, he went 6.2 and he allowed 5 earned runs. He didn't have any walks, but those were his numbers for Game 2. Tonight, Dickey will have to have his best stuff against the Royals lineup, top to bottom, similar to the Blue Jays. They don't have quite the power, but they definitely have a lot of good bats in that lineup.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think is going to happen going forward in this series? Who do you think's got this?
Well, I still think the Royals, if they can just get 1 victory on the road, they should be able to take care of business at home. Falling down 2-0, the Blue Jays did in the first series, but I don't think they're going to be able to recover in this ALCS. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think the Royals are going to hold this out. I think they're going to do it in 6. I think they'll lose 1 more game on the road to Toronto, and then they'll finish it out at home.
All right, well, let's get to the other CS series. That would be the Cubs and the Mets. Game 3 tonight at Wrigley. It'll be, I believe, DeGrom for the Mets. The Cubs, let's see, Lester pitched.
Lester
Do you know-
pitched.
what is- do you know the
I think they're
matchup for
going
the-
with. I believe they're going with
Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, Hendricks. Who do you think's got this one tonight?
Man, I got to go Mets just because they have their ace on the mound. What a luxury the Mets have. They just beat 3 out of the 4 best pitchers in baseball, perhaps, beating Greinke, Arrieta, and then Lester. Maybe he's not in the discussion, but still, a good quality pitcher Lester is, in particular the postseason. Daniel Murphy, man, he's been a spark for that lineup. He was 2 for 3 the other night with another home run. I think he's the only player. No, I know he's the only player to homer off both Greinke and Kershaw. That was in the previous series, this season at least. And then one off Arrieta, and then one off Lester. This Mets team, they're based on pitching, but certainly these bats have come alive. It kind of reminds me of the Giants back in 2010. They had the pitching, but a lot of people questioned the offense. Well, the pitching has been there for the Mets, and the bats have come alive.
I'm actually going to go different for this game in the series. I'm going to go Cubs here for one particular reason. They're at Wrigley. If you look at their numbers at Wrigley, this postseason, the first game, they win 8-6, putting up 8 runs. They set the MLB record for home runs in a game in the postseason. And then the next game, you have a 6-4 victory. But you look at that, you have like a 7-run average at home, but your opponents are also scoring 5 runs. I think the Cubs offense is going to pull this one out. They have the better offense than the Mets. When you look at the Mets, their big bats are pretty much Cespedes, Granderson, and Murphy right now. And you got to look at Hendricks too. Is it Hendricks or Kendricks? I think Hendricks. Yeah. Just making sure I wasn't getting that one wrong. But Hendricks has pitched phenomenal lately. You know, he pitched the game they won on the road in St. Louis, too. I believe he gave up like 2 runs early and then didn't allow much the rest of the game, or didn't allow anything. I just see the Cubs having the advantage with home field and a ballpark that plays to power hitters.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I don't know. I just don't see the Mets or the Cubs bats are dead right now. Now, that could change. Yes, they're going to be at home. They're going to have that home field advantage on their side. But I just like DeGrom to get it done. He has, for the most part, pretty good numbers pitching against this Cubs lineup. As for Kyle Hendricks, let's see. Lucas Duda has hit 500. He has a home run against Hendricks. Let's see who else has some experience. Kevin Plawecki for the Mets. He has 2 at-bats. He's hitting 500 against them. Not a whole lot of experience against the Hendricks the Mets have, but it should be a good one tonight from Wrigley, nonetheless.
So moving on to the series, do you think the Cubs are in trouble?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no doubt they're in big trouble. I think the Mets will get this done. I don't think they'll sweep them. I think the Cubs will get Game 4, but I like the Mets in 5.
I think the Cubs are in trouble. But once again, going back to the home field part of this, I think that that Citi Field does not play to the Cubs' strengths. When you look at it, it is more of a hitter's ball. It's more of a pitcher's ballpark. When Wrigley's more of a hitter, depending on the wind.
Yeah, Wrigley. Oh shoot.
And
definitely Wrigley.
And in postseason, it's known to blow out more at Wrigley. I just see if the Cubs If the Cubs get a win that is blowing out, and their offense can somehow find a way to start up again, you know, just like they did in that 6 home run game when you had Bryant waking up, Rizzo waking up, that's what this offense needs. And if that happens, I actually see the Mets being in trouble if they wake up this game and then they wake up the next game. I think the Cubs could pull this one off in 6 or 7 games.
You think in 6 games? Wow. Yeah, but their offense needs to get clicking. That's my only thing is that the Mets pitching right now is so dominant. Their 4 starters The only question being Matz, who pitched well against the Dodgers. He went 5 innings, allowing 3 earned runs in his Game 4 start. But it's particularly Matt Harvey. He's pitching so well. And, I mean, really, DeGrom, Harvey, and Syndergaard, they're all pitching real well. But I look at Harvey. He's the big key for this Mets team. He started the All-Star game back in 2013. He's pitching so well. This Mets team, they're not giving up a whole lot of runs, including the bullpen. And then closer, Jarius Familia, he's been spectacular this postseason. I mean, he's really been good all year long. Tyler Clippard on that back end, and then, of course, having the luxury of Bartolo Colon and Jonathan Neese. So you have 2 quality starters now coming out of the bullpen. I just think that's the big thing for me, pitching, and I think that's going to get it done for the Mets in this series. Now, don't get me wrong. Can the Cubs' bats come alive? Yeah, no doubt. Kyle Schwarber hit another home run the other night. He's having a really stellar postseason. But I'd like to see Chris Bryant come around more. He hasn't had the best of post.
Good, Matt. Reconnecting.